What is good, guys? Matt from Duality Gaming here, giving you another video. This one is talking about the Nintendo NX and the rumours that have been coming out. Now, I know I'm kind of a bit of a day late with this, but I'm still going to do it, give my opinion. On our channel, it seems that a lot of people like Nintendo stuff, so I'm going to provide Nintendo stuff. I'm going to provide things that I feel people would want from this channel rather than kind of go off on my own thing. Now, I did enjoy doing the politics and everything, and I will keep doing that because that seemed to have gotten a little bit. But there is another video that gained a few views on this channel. Obviously, it's a little amount of views compared to other big channels, but for me, it was quite, you know, substantial. And I'm going to paraphrase this article because there are some weird spelling mistakes on it. So they're kind of, it kind of takes away from the credibility of this article. If I remember, link in the description. If I don't, sorry. One thing, it will have a wireless HDMI dongle that attaches to like any TV, so it can literally, you can just insert anywhere and it will display whatever's on the screen there, I believe. And that actually kind of goes into the handheld kind of side of things, where it could be a hybrid where you can play it on the screen on a normal device, and if you want to play it on the handheld, you know, on the TV, you'd plug it in and do that. That's kind of almost like an Android TV kind of thing that goes on, and then we'll get on from that. It's an evolved version of Wii U streaming, the HD display. Now, anyone that fucking played the Wii U probably saw this coming from a mile away. Honestly, the fact that they didn't have a HD screen on the fucking Wii U and they refused to release a Wii U gamepad that had one kind of tells me that they were planning this anyway. And also, I feel the Wii U was not powerful enough to stream HD video to the gamepad and display it on the TV as well, because that is actually quite a lot of, it's quite intensive to stream two video feeds at the same time, which is one of the reasons why the Wii U is as anemic as it is, because it has to do those two things. And that's why a lot of devs actually decided not to put stuff on the screen, because then they could use the extra power that wasn't on the screen, on the gamepad on the screen, if that makes sense. At least that's my theory on it. It'll have analog controls, so there are small motors for them to have haptic feedback in the analog, so if you walk into, it stops you from fucking walking into a wall essentially. Now this one kind of goes actually into the handheld thing, and I think if this is true, even if it's not for the NX, even if it's for Nintendo's next handheld system, if they don't have a hybrid and they have two things, it has Bluetooth sync with tons of devices. It supports smartphones and tablets. Now that is actually very good, and I'm going to keep going on to it because you can answer phone calls and text, display text messages from your phone onto the NX screen. Now, why is this substantial? Well, if this is true, and this is the handheld side of it, because at the moment we don't know what it is. It could be a hybrid, it could be just one home console, it could even be a fucking handheld, and everyone could just be getting hyped over it. I don't think it's a handheld purely because of the next point.
Even for a drunk like you.
In terms of this is actually very convenient. One, because it gets it's convenient because you don't have to look away from the screen. I don't really answer phone calls, so obviously I wouldn't be answering. I wouldn't answer phone calls while I'm playing a game anyway, because I'd have to pause it, so there'd be no point of having that. But having text messages on that would be really interesting, and even if it was on a handheld, like let's say your 3DS, where you could actually get, you know, text messages on your 3DS, so you could be playing Kirby or Yoshi or whatever, or Mario or Zelda, and then you, on the little like D-pad, no, the second screen, your text message shows up briefly. I think that'd be kind of cool. I kind of like that, and all of this article seems a bit far-fetched, and I'll get to the reason at the end of it, because honestly, there are reasons why I'm a bit, with this, because it's kind of ambitious for Nintendo, and I know they have a new CEO, so it can be kind of more on the realms of it, but it just doesn't seem like Nintendo's kind of thing to do. It's closest to power to the Xbox One in terms of, it's closest to the Xbox One in terms of power. Now, I'm gonna stop right now, purely because one, these motherfuckers on YouTube, they go, oh, I don't care about graphics, I don't care about power as long as you give me good games. I'm seeing a lot of videos of people just whinging about this being closest to the Xbox One in fucking power, but these are the same people that say they don't care about the power of the console, they just want great games. Fuck you. That's all I want to say. I can't really shout because I've got people sleeping in the house right now, but fuck you. That's just so hypocritical. And honestly, not the whole power of the Xbox One is kind of past. You know, people have just come to accept it. And at the end of the day, if you have great games, that's what matters at the end of the day, not fucking power. Like, I understand power does help you generate the jump generation, and if anything, I feel like it would be in the middle. I don't think it'd be, if this was the case, I don't think it would be as weak as the Xbox One. It'd probably be stronger than the Xbox One and weaker than the PS4. But if it was on a scale, it'd probably go towards the Xbox One. At least that's what I would like to hope. I really doubt they'd make a console weaker than the Xbox One. But there you go. And I remember when the Wii U came out, there was a lot of things about people saying they made the fucking 360, the Wii U is weaker than the 360 and the PS3, even though that would have been more expensive for them to do. People seem to not understand some things. All tech involved uses the exact same hardware layout as the PS4 and Xbox One. Now that I can believe, that's probably x86 architecture. That is purely because it's probably the easiest for the developers. They probably talked to the developers and the developers told them, this is what we want, this is the most convenient for us. We don't want to deal with that tricore, we don't want to deal with any kind of funky jazz music magic shit that Sony has done before and you have done before, and if you past, even though Nintendo hasn't really done it to the extent of Sony, but people like to ignore that. Because Nintendo were quite consistent from the GameCube to the Wii U. It had pretty much the same fucking architecture throughout the whole thing. Any game that can run on the PS4 and Xbox One can easily run on the NX with almost no modifications. This is even more true if the game runs Android OS or Unreal Engine 4. One third-party developer says it's the easiest device we've ever developed for. You take the code, compile it, and it works. Now I'm going to discuss this as well. This is kind of going point discuss. This actually has more points to it than I think people really understand. It has Android games, and that'll be really significant if they just have the whole fucking Android store on your NX. I think that would be quite interesting, that you can have all your mobile games there, and if it's the handheld side, so essentially you have a handheld that can play any mobile game, and hopefully it was optimized, I doubt it will be, any Android game, plus the games made for that, then you have a huge library already, if you understand what I mean. Which is something the Vita kind of didn't do very well, and the Sony kind of just took it out and shot it. I like to point out the PS4 and Xbox One moment about how it can run pretty much any game like that. That would mean that is in the same ballpark as power, in terms of both games, so I feel it would be in the middle rather than the lower end of it. That's what I feel. Unreal Engine 4, yay. All that bullshit about Unreal Engine 4 not being able to run on Wii U, but it could run on the Xbox 360 and any fucking Android or iOS phone, you know. People need to use their brains slightly more than they like to thing. And it's the easiest device we've ever developed for. Now, I assume that means it's kind of like an Android kind of system, and it does actually get backed up later on. We should look to Pokemon Go to get an idea of the type of social features that will be in the NX. Now, I have no idea about Pokemon Go. I looked at it once. It did not interest me. I don't really give a fuck about Pokemon Go. Yeah, I think it'd be like just a fucking street pass on fucking steroids. And by the way, dear all news readers or whatever you want to call yourselves, or just reporters of gaming news in the YouTube community, before you report on something like this and you don't know what Street Pass is, how about you look up what Street Pass is before you go, I don't know what the fuck this is and whatnot. Obviously I just said I don't care about Pokemon Go. I don't, it doesn't look interesting to me, but I do know what Street Pass is. It's a feature in the 3DS, and it wasn't really that it wasn't that great in London or in England or the south coast of England, because I don't know, many people don't really like to take their handheld devices out in England, and if they do, is kind of they're in the car rather than public transport. So the Street Pass was kind of, it wasn't great here. But yeah, it will take multiplayer AR and the Street Pass concept to a whole new level. I don't really know how the multiplayer can get taken to a whole new level. That would be really fun. Maybe virtual reality. AR is the kind of shit you got on like cards and stuff like that on the 3DS when you got that. And Street Pass is there again. I mentioned Street Pass because that was the last thing. The strengths of the device are the usability and ease of use. Now, that's good. Streamlined experience is always a good thing in a console. I don't know why people complained about the PS3, what's it called, layout. I didn't mind it. It didn't take that long to learn. If it took you long to learn, clearly you don't understand things very well. So no offense, I'm not a very PC person. But yeah, that is the case of that. Now this one kind of goes into what I've been talking about a lot of the time. Devs describe it visually and functionally as if Samsung and the Nintendo 2DS had a baby. Now that is quite... oh shit. I really don't want to know what that looks like in its like premature form because of fucking Nintendo 2DS. It look like a fucking doorstop. And Samsung phones, granted, they all have the same layout. Like I've got a fucking S5 right here, my old S5, and I've got my Note 4 just kind of here, and they all kind of the same black screen with the. It's just, I can't describe a Samsung phone really that well. Just go look at one. That's the only way I can describe it. But that okay. It looks friendly, but unlike what most people believe a Nintendo device to typically look like. So I don't know how a device can look unfriendly. I'm not too sure. Like open fuse box or something, that usually doesn't look very friendly unless you've got issues. The operating system named Nintendo OS is very powerful and has many modern features of a mobile operating system. I think this goes back to the thing that I'm going to mention, running Android and all this, and it kind of, a lot of this is pointing towards more of a handheld. There's only a few things that have actually pointed to a home console rather than a handheld, and I feel if this is true, then it is going to be a hybrid, and it was only a matter of time before Nintendo was going to do this, because the 3DS obviously is going down in sales, and I think a lot of people probably did want usability of the 3DS and the Wii U to kind of interconnect, and it would have been really nice to play your 3DS games on the Wii U and kind of have more functionality between the two consoles, because you didn't really get that. You got things like Monster Hunter and all that, but it didn't really do much. The OS is powerful, so I assume it's fast. It's not slow. To be fair, the Nintendo one on the Wii U isn't actually exactly that slow. If it's slow for you, I don't know what to tell you, but it's never been slow for me. It's pretty much, it's not as quick as the PS4, kind of, and I don't know for the Xbox One, but it's a lot quicker than the last gen console, so it's kind of dead in the middle of that. And I think as we go on, we just become more impatient beings as it is. Nintendo are trying to be very careful not to show it off and fear that it would be mistaken for running Android. Now this goes back to other things I have literally just said about it can run any Android game and this, that, and the other. And I feel they did this for a few reasons. One, is very accessible, obviously. Two, there's a lot of customization to it, and a lot of devs know it. And again, it goes back to the hybrid. It goes back to the fucking handheld side of it. And I feel that if this is true, this is what's going to happen. And this is kind of the last one that kind of threw me off a little bit, because it doesn't sound like a Nintendo thing to do, but we don't know. Very strong network functions as it ties into multiple devices and services. This allows a very competent and pervasive ecosystem designed to consistently involve the consumer's life. That bit fucking sounds like, what is it? I can't remember what the movie is, but you're pretty much getting spied on the entire time. That's what that sounds like. I don't want Nintendo spying on me. But the strong network features are the thing that kind of threw me off, because Nintendo have never been one for that kind of strong network features. To be fair, a lot of these things, a lot of the modernization, a lot of kind of almost being on par, kind of early on, with the current gen consoles and all this, does not sound like Nintendo. And it kind of, maybe it's the new CEO, maybe he's kind of spearheading all of this, maybe Nintendo just had a revelation and fucking realized, maybe someone opened up Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and fucking watched a Nintendo video and what people wanted. I don't know, because Nintendo haven't been ones for listening, and they're quite conservative with a small c about this. What I think, if this is true, this would be really nice. If this is true, this is pointing at a hybrid console. That is what I think. If it can run Android games, whip-de fucking do. Whip-de fucking do. The Samsung and 2DS thing kind of threw me off a little bit. It sounds Nintendo-y. A lot of these features are really nice, and I would love this. I would love to see some of these in the actual modern consoles right now, like the PS4, like syncing the phone to it so you can see the text messages and not so much the phone calls. I really don't care for the phone calls, but the text messages and whatnot and the WhatsApps. That would be really great, because then you have an all-in-one experience. And I feel Nintendo have kind of done the thing that Microsoft wanted to do, which is having the all-in-one experience, but they kind of missed out the phone and watching TV on your TV. Anyway, I digress. This is kind of good. Could mean if it's a hybrid console that we can fucking finally have a home console Pokemon. That's literally the only thing I care about. Tell me what you think. Hopefully this console is more powerful, or kind of slightly more powerful than the PS4. That would be really nice. I'm not expecting 1440p. I'm not expecting 4K, because really it's not the most accessible thing now. People argue, oh, but 4K is up and coming. No. If it was up and coming, it is up and coming, sorry. But if it was more popular, there would be more demand for it. Like, I know there are cheap TVs now The consoles don't really do it. Most computers can't fucking do it. So it's not exactly the most successful thing. Maybe in the next gen we'll see the 4K, or maybe 2K. 2K is probably going to get skipped over. I don't know. Tell me what you think down below. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. What do you think of this? Or I know this is probably the longest one I've actually talked about, and just have a one coherent thing. So yeah. Tell me what you think below. Like the video. It really helps us out. Or dislike it if you're some salty ass motherfucker. Check out the Facebook. Check out the Instagram for daily and monthly updates. And ultimately, guys, as I always say, have a nice day.